I want to welcome everyone to another great keynote from an industry leader and someone that I really believe will bring not only a wealth of expertise of having built out cellular networks over the last generations, but to give us a leader who can build out a fifth generation network, can really be disruptive and important for American leadership and the Internet of Things and the applications to come into the future. So we're very pleased to have Doug Smith of Ligado Networks, who can talk to us about the importance of what they're doing, the importance of the proceeding that was just finished at the FCC, the plans for their network. But he does have a wealth of experience from Nextel to Sprint to Clearwire. He really has been a leader from the very early days of cellular as a pioneer, and now as a leader for the future of our country and the networks to come. So welcome, Doug, and I'm very glad to have you here.
Thank you, Chip, and thanks for the opportunity to talk to you today. This really is an exciting time in the wireless industry, and for Ligado specifically. I'm thrilled to be able to share some of what's on the horizon for us this coming year.
So talk to us. Let's get right into it. So 5G is coming. What? There's been a lot of buzz, a lot of controversy, a lot of conflict. You took something that most people thought was dead, and like Lazarus has been raised at the FCC and given new life. Talk to us about Ligado and how you can transform through your network and what your plans are.
Sure. No, I appreciate the question. It has been, it's been quite a remarkable experience here, but what we've been able to do is just the beginning, right? And so we're thrilled that we have this FCC approval to get started with, and maybe I'll just start and describe a little bit of our history and how I think we are positioned to really to provide a unique alternative 5G network. And so, as you said, I've been part of the wireless industry my entire career, and I enjoy it because it's always changing. There's constant innovation, and you can see how much of a positive impact these technological transformations have been having on the people and communities around us. A decade ago, video conferencing was relatively uncommon, and doing so on your phone while not on Wi-Fi was very rare. Last week marked the 10th anniversary of FaceTime on the iPhone, and it was a great innovation. But a few short calls would have eaten up a typical person's standard monthly data plan. But today, take a look around. Everywhere is a showcase for how much that has changed. You can see people of all ages and in all locations happily video chatting with friends and loved ones. And, frankly, it's hard to imagine just how different life and society would be if COVID hit 10 years ago. Without the connectivity that's made it possible for so many to stay in touch in so many different ways while staying safe. The reality is the way we communicate is fundamentally different than our experience was a decade ago. And it will be fundamentally different 1 decade from now. So Ligado, we are a mobile satellite service operator with a very powerful geostationary satellite network, custom built for the same mobile devices that utilize terrestrial LTE systems. With the satellite system, we're currently supporting mission critical applications in the enterprise, public safety, government, and industrial segments. This past April, the FCC unanimously approved our license for terrestrial use, enabling us to secure significant investment to develop the ecosystem and get our spectrum deployed for next generation 5G services. We've spent the past many months gearing up to put ourselves in a position to expand our satellite offerings and develop innovative terrestrial-based services. It's extremely exciting. So what comes next? And what we've been focused on really are 5 key areas that enhance our MSS, our satellite services, and our terrestrial capabilities. First, we want to harness the standards-based technology that's used in existing carrier networks to support IoT mobile devices today and deploy it on our satellite network, allowing devices to move seamlessly between wireless towers and satellites and meeting the requirements for next generation IoT services of being ubiquitous and ultra reliable. Second, we're working to modify our existing 3GPP band with the support of companies like Nokia, Ericsson, Samsung, and Intel. So our spectrum will be part of the standardized spectrum blocks for 5G. Third, regarding our device roadmap, we're working with producers of IoT devices that can connect both to the satellite network and the terrestrial network. And fourth, we're creating a new kind of network that uses the scale of technologies available to the national carriers by offering licensed spectrum and managed services to industrial companies that need purpose-built and secure private networks. And so our vision is really the best of both worlds, the scale of a public network with the private network's control, security, and customization. And finally, fifth, we hope to complement the wireless network that millions of people use every day, adding value to consumers and providing spectrum partnerships across the country. Ultimately, we're talking about creating a seamless mobile experience that boosts productivity, increases worker safety, deploys new business models, and promotes product innovation.
You know, earlier this week, we've been able to really have some great keynotes from industry leaders as well as public policy leaders. But, so we've had Tom Cullen with Dish, Michael Dell, who's made a major investment in the 12 gigahertz and is supporting the spectrum rulemaking process that we think can be an important component of fixed wireless and the fiber and the 5G configurations of the past. You bring the satellite and the terrestrial really in an innovative way and targeted at the Internet of Things marketplace. But talk to us a little bit about what differentiates you from the other innovators and disruptors that are coming into this space, into the wireless industry that is completely different, as you talked about, than when you began 30 years ago in your career.
Right, yes, thanks for that question. I think, there's really three things that I think differentiate us in terms of where we are and what we can do. The first is, I would say, our spectrum is greenfield, which really means it's ready to go. We've been planning for this moment for some time, and so we're ready to deploy it. And so there's no clearing, it's available. So we have available spectrum. And secondly, it sits in the lower mid-band. That's a great location for technology, for these types of 5G services we're talking about. Then I would say the third is really our satellite network. And so, when we think about, what we're bringing to the market, it's highly desirable spectrum in that 1 to 2 gigahertz band. It's in its new satellite IoT capabilities. These are critical for next generation 5G services. Our work is, it's well underway to standardize the Ligado band, as I've mentioned, in 3GPP, and to develop the commercial ecosystem for chipsets, devices, and infrastructure. Because our terrestrial spectrum is greenfield, we're really taking a highly flexible approach with respect to technology and commercial partnerships to support developing best-in-class capabilities for private network solutions. Part of our plan to support these critical communications includes enhancing our own satellite network so that entire IoT deployments over vast geographical area are supported with the same technology, thereby enabling always-on connectivity anytime, anywhere.
As we talked with Chairman Pai earlier, it's clear that he is wanting to do everything he can to win the race to 5G. Earlier this year, Attorney General Barr and Secretary of State Pompeo both supported the Ligado applications and uses and decision by the FCC because of our international competitiveness. And it's really about the industrial applications, the component that they really emphasize and that I see as a distinctive and would like you to talk about. what are the industries that you think that you'll enable in this new Internet of Things world, the machine-to-machine capability, and why is this so important for our international competitiveness?
Yeah, no, I did. This is really the area that gets our team very excited. This is where we can and will shine, is being able to optimize critical communications for enterprise and enterprise and industry that need purpose-built and secure coverage. I'll go through a couple examples. So, take a look at electric transmission lines. They run thousands of miles in every which way across the country. Some of these lines are in remote areas and are extremely difficult to access. When something goes wrong with a line, or if there's a storm that creates downed lines in these areas, right today it takes a significant amount of time and effort to simply identify where the problem is. We demonstrated a few years ago on a trial basis with Dominion Energy how a utility company can use a combination of this satellite and terrestrial network that I've been speaking about, and they can do that. They can do so in a way where they can operate an inspection drone far beyond visual line of sight. Utilities can have this type of application, among others, supported on their own private network by using our satellite and taking advantage of what we can build them on the ground. So a dedicated network for their purposes. The trial that we did with Dominion was great because it showed how a combination of kind of a top-down approach from the satellite for the important critical features like command and control, coupled with the bottom-up service of a broadband network on a terrestrial basis, can enable you to go and do remote inspections of these power facilities and provide real-time information, quickly accelerating how long it takes to identify where the problem is. And so this inspection service is just, is an example. Another example is with helicopters. Using the same secure and reliable network capabilities, an in-flight helicopter, such as a medevac, can take advantage of satellite connectivity in remote areas and high altitudes, as well as additional bandwidth through terrestrial elements of the network when close to the ground. So now, whether it is commanding and controlling the station, or mobile IoT sensors throughout a manufacturing campus, or tracking supply chain assets via encrypted connections, we envision solutions that would enable an industrial user to set up a dedicated, privately owned wireless network. And thanks to our satellite network, we can provide extended coverage and network redundancy in deployment environments that range from industrial campuses to agricultural lands.
As I think through what it could mean to my home state of Mississippi, we're unique in a number of ways. As you talk about electric transmission, we have the Tennessee Valley Authority, Entergy, one of the largest registered investor-owned utilities, Southern Company, all meeting in Mississippi. We're really a pipeline hub where a lot of the gas and the oil, the energy industry transverse our state into the refining centers in Texas and in Louisiana and the Gulf Coast region. So those hubs of energy infrastructure could really benefit from the application that you're talking about. And then precision agriculture, we're the home of Nissan and Toyota, so the automotive industry. And we're really trying to emerge as a leader of telemedicine. You have applications, or your network could enable all of those types of things critical to the industries located in our home state. And I'd like to add to that, you've talked about the industrial uses. Another critical application use for Ligado would be public safety. We just celebrated the 15th anniversary of Katrina this past week, the anniversary of 9/11. Talk to us about what you could do to help support, enhance public safety.
Oh, absolutely. For 25 years, we've provided satellite communications that deliver critical connectivity for emergency responders at the federal, state, and local levels. You mentioned, I've been in this industry from the very beginning, and I, have lived through many of these kind of natural disasters, and very often there is no terrestrial service after a hurricane or a severe weather event. Our satellite services are relied upon by several government agencies, including FEMA, the U.S. Coast Guard, EPA, NASA, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services, just to name a few. And that was the case with several hurricanes that left wireless sites in the hardest hit areas down for several days, if not weeks. And so when you look at, you mentioned Katrina in 2005, Sandy in 2012, or Michael in 2018. These are just some of the natural disasters where Ligado has helped to keep public safety and critical infrastructure industries connected, allowing them to focus on their core missions, even when the cellular networks are down. And so, this here, again, it really speaks to the combination of a terrestrial and satellite network can bring powerful solutions. And so the space segment, the satellites themselves, they are in space. And so they are impervious to what happens here on Earth. And so that provides a level of reliability that you can't get from a terrestrial network. And so what we can do for public safety is just serve as the backup. So they're always connected. Integrate that service into a device that could be in their hand is really a powerful advantage for them. So if something bad happens, they are equipped with communication services that are in their hand, and they can just switch if the terrestrial network isn't available. They can seamlessly and quickly just move over to the satellite services. So that's just one example of how we can support public safety with this network that we envision.
The Congress and the Commission often talks about how do we close the digital divide. And it's not only connectivity, but a lot of what Ligado promises and the potential, which is to make rural parts and remote parts of our country competitive in their manufacturing, advanced manufacturing, or energy, or transportation, or agriculture, as well as all the other public safety and critical functions you provide. Talk a little bit about what you see, whether you're in Alaska, Hawaii, or rural Mississippi, as the benefit of a Ligado network.
Sure. So two of our key advantages is that we are greenfield in terms of our spectrum available for terrestrial networks, and that we have a satellite network. These give us a lot of flexibility in terms of where and when we build out and the coverage that we get. We can deploy customized ground networks where our customers need them, and then combine that kind of connectivity seamlessly into a network that has expansive coverage due to our satellite system. All those remote areas that you mentioned, every single one of them is covered by our satellite network today. So for IoT devices, machines, and sensors that help to manage expansive oil fields or agricultural plots, they would greatly benefit from our ability to connect all of them via a custom private network. In addition to the drone demonstration I mentioned earlier with Dominion Energy, other examples include use of sensor drones to conduct beyond visual line of sight operations to inspect things such as pipelines or rail or other functions within an industrial campus. And since you brought up ways that we support rural applications, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that our satellite system disseminates high precision correction data. This is data that makes the GPS system more accurate. We provide that data to the agricultural sector in a way that's exceptionally robust, cost efficient, and performance enhancing. In the future, and in collaboration with partners in the high precision industry, we're exploring ways that we can integrate our satellite connectivity with high precision GNSS systems to enable a more scalable and efficient delivery of high bandwidth GNSS correction data to support a much wider array of applications for driverless cars and other autonomous vehicles such as drones.
The applications are almost endless as I listen. The other thing that I've been struck about Ligado, so INCOMPAS started almost 40 years ago to open up the old telephone monopoly to competition, and first long distance, and then in the voice for local competition and wireless competition, internet competition. So we've evolved over that time, but one consistency is that we've always been the new entrant, the new technology, the new innovation, the new network. And so we're very proud to have Ligado as a new member as you enter in and really bring a new technology application and distinctive to the marketplace. So we're accustomed to fighting the giants. You've been fighting the giants, and we'd love to hear about the process that you underwent and undertook, getting the approval at the FCC. Just talk about that process and where everything stands today.
Sure. No. So let me start by saying, how grateful I am to everyone, all the engineers and others inside and outside the government who took the time to understand the issues and solve them over the past many years. I'm confident that history will recognize that this decision, the Ligado approval decision, was the right one, and in many ways, a defining moment for U.S. spectrum policy and innovation. Ligado's L-band spectrum represents a unique opportunity to help advance U.S. 5G, both for economic and national security purposes. You mentioned some of the supporters that we have. They recognize the criticality of having 5G services deployed quickly, and that's a lot of what we can do. And I think, while it's easy, for some to look at things and say that the FCC and the DoD don't agree on the outcome. I come at this as an engineer, a pilot, and someone who's been building and deploying networks for more than 3 decades. We have a chance to work with the DoD to ensure that the L-band spectrum is a value add and will remain, and we will always remain ready and willing to do so. There are a lot of opportunities. We've discussed some of them today. There's many synergies here that that we can bring to even the DoD itself. And over time, my hope and belief is that technology and innovation will ultimately prevail over politics and personalities, because there is so much Ligado and the DoD can do together in the defense space. It's exciting and transformational. In terms of how we got here, there was a lot of testing involved, including by our country's best and brightest engineers at NIST Boulder Labs. They analyzed GPS compatibility, as well as engineers at places like Nokia and Ericsson who evaluated the beneficial role that our spectrum specifically can play in 5G network deployments. All this was in the record at the FCC, and the expert engineers at that agency looked at all the data in that record to determine the best and most appropriate path forward. And so it has been a long road, but it was well worth it, because the spectrum we have is really unique, and it's powerful. We've demonstrated that we can and will. It's an ongoing commitment. We will protect GPS. There is no question about that. And all the data supports it. And so, it's been a long road, but it was well worth the effort.
In our previous session with Chairman Pai, he just talked about how amazing the engineering and staff of the FCC, and looking at all of the issues and coming up with a very reasoned and balanced and prudent decision around Ligado, and the safeguards and all the different checks that will ensure that there's no harmful interference with critical services, both for the Department of Defense and other commercial applications. And he talked about how he could go to bed at night, put his head on the pillow and rest easy, because he knew he did the right thing, even though it's been a tough process, and y'all have faced challenges for many quarters. But I just want to commend you and your team for how you went about the process at the FCC, and ever since, in defending it based in principle and facts and on the merits. And I think that will continue to prevail in the end. We want to do everything we can, as Congress considers anything in the Defense Authorization Act, to make sure that Ligado can go forward with certainty, and to make sure that America continues to lead in this very critical part of the 5G market. So I do want to commend and congratulate all of the Ligado team. Your Washington team is unbelievable. So Um,
They are, yes, they are. No, I appreciate those comments, Chip. It means a lot. We do have a great team here. It was great to hear Chairman Pai's comments, and I would echo those. You know, the professionals and the staff, the engineers at the FCC, you know, they tackled this and they did so in a very professional way, and they really sorted through all of the, you know, the politics and distractions that came along the way, and ultimately relied on data and facts, and they did a terrific job here, and you know, they got this one right. I've studied this for a very long time, and you know, this is a good outcome. They put the necessary protections here just to make sure that there's, you know, plenty of fail safes. But I think in you know, the entirety of the order, it does allow us to bring new and exciting 5G services for the country, and they're much needed. But at the same time, it fully protects GPS. They've done a great job.
you know, we started our conversation thinking about what life was like 10 years ago, and and what FaceTime as it just started. Now we're having Encompass's first all virtual conference with leaders from around the industry and policy makers and leaders. And it really does bring us into the ability to connect and communicate and persuade and influence in hopefully good ways that then leads to good policy outcomes in a good and strong economy as we come out of a pandemic and recover. So as you look down the road 10 years and you built out Ligado's network, what does the world look like? Anything that you'd like to emphasize that these are the sectors that where Ligado will make a true difference, and we can close on kind of your future vision.
Sure. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. No, I think, you know, with what 5G will bring, and Ligado will be a big part of that, and the spectrum will be a big part of that. You know, we will see just this continuing connectivity, and so it goes beyond just connecting people. You know, we're moving into connecting devices and sensors and just having more information and more automation. You know, we look at what we can do in the manufacturing segment, in transportation, energy, you know, connecting devices and making, you know, bringing not just efficiency, but safety, right? We will make the workplace a safer place. We will create efficiencies that will help us, the country economically. There's just, you know, the promise here, it's endless. And so we're excited to be part of it. And we're excited that we're at this point in time with our approvals and ready to go, and we're excited to get going and get to work, and that's what we're doing. And I also look forward to seeing what the world looks like in 10 years. It will be a much more different place from a technology standpoint, and I'm excited. I know all the folks at Ligado are excited to be part of that.
Well, Encompass is very, very proud to be part of your team, to be able to advocate for you. All of our other members welcome you, and we look forward to seeing the innovation, the disruption, the competition, and all of the public benefits from safety, security, national security, and international leadership as it relates to 5G because of what you're doing. And we look forward to continuing our work together. And I really appreciate that you have joined our first conference virtually and given us a great keynote.
Great. Well, I appreciate the invitation, and I am just thankful that you allowed me to be here today. You know, and I also just want to say, you know, simply thank you for all that your association represents and accomplishes to promote innovation and competition, so that every community and every business across the country ultimately benefits from the power of next generation technologies. You know, these advancements promise to transform the way we communicate, learn, thrive, you know, receive healthcare, and conduct all sorts of business. But the potential, you know, progress hinges on really the speed of the U.S. transition to 5G, and that just has far-reaching implications, not just from a global leadership standpoint, but also every nook and cranny across our country. You know, and we're happy to be a member of Encompass, and you know, our belief is by standing together with advocacy organizations like yours, we're finally going to be able to maximize the use of spectrum to help advance 5G. So we're just thrilled to be part of your organization now and to be here with you today. So thanks for the opportunity.
Well, Doug, thank you very much, and stay safe. And I look forward to our work together.